Sunny spells for many of us, but heavy rain continues across the northwest of Scotland. I'll have all the details of that and more coming up on Good Morning Britain.
We've been hearing, haven't we, Laura, about this devastating...
Honestly, it's so awful, and I just think it's really terrifying when they say we just don't know how many people are going to be affected, how many casualties. There are 1,000 people on the tiny island were asked to lock down, and many of them have more strong winds. We had winds gusts of up to 160 miles an hour, sustained of 130. That's what made it the equivalent of a Category 4 hurricane. 200 millimetres of rain has fallen in 24 hours, with half a metre of storm surge on the coast as it makes landfall. The problem now, as it makes its way inland through Malawi and into Mozambique, is that these areas have been very dry. So any rainfall that's coming, and we're likely to see a month's worth of rainfall in the next 24 hours, well, that could lead to some widespread flooding. So lots of concerns here as it tracks its way inland. But for us back in the UK, this weekend we finally saw some sunshine. Last weekend it was cloudy, grey, dull for many of us. Brighter skies this weekend were wonderful, but the northwest of Scotland has a band of rain. It arrived, it's set to stay there all day long, so a warning in force for how heavy that rain is set to be. But high pressure dominates elsewhere for the time being, keeping it fine and settled before we see a weather front move in from the west tomorrow. What does that mean for today? Largely fine, dry and bright for many of us, and it will be mild. Temperatures this morning when you step outside, 8 to 10 degrees, more typical of where it should be by day, top temperatures for this time of year. The radar picks out our band of rain, though. It is heavy for the northwest of Scotland, damp and drizzly through other western areas, and this is our weather warning in force for today for the northwest of Scotland, where we could see the risk of some localised flooding. So through the day, the rain doesn't go anywhere, it stays all day. But for everyone else, we have this southwesterly flow, keeping it mild, breaking up the clouds, sunny spells and light winds. So pleasant if you're outdoor today away from the northwest of Scotland, with highs of 13.
Stronger than that on this planet. I mean, that must be a boom.
So the sustain was 130, which makes it the bottom end of a Category 4.
Right.
So the wind gusts of up to 160. But when we saw the hurricane that went through through parts of Florida earlier in the year, in November time, they had 90 miles an hour. So, yeah, they can get more ferocious. And it's like an exponential scale. For every 10 miles an hour, it can cause, significantly more damage.
Absolutely, yeah. OK, thanks very much indeed, Laura.
P.S. I have plenty more weather chat. Give me a vegetable, I am there. OK. Now, weather-wise, as we saw with Andy, it is pretty windy up there in Scotland. We have a band of heavy rain around as well. This is what is happening up here. But high pressure further south keeps things fine and settled, so largely dry here. And boy, you will notice it is mild outside today. And then here comes some more rain from the west for tomorrow. More on that in just a moment. But for today, it's the northwest where we have the heaviest rain, the strongest winds. For everyone else, it is looking largely fine, dry and bright, albeit a windy day across the northern half of the country. So this is our radar picking out our band of rain, heavy for the northwest of Scotland. That'll be there all day long, and that brings the risk of some localised flooding. Our warning is rain up to 150 millimetres for some areas, so that is something we're watching all day long. But away from this area, it is damp and drizzly for the northern half of Scotland. Elsewhere, it is fine, dry and bright. Sunny spells, blustery winds, that'll help to break up the cloud. And look at these temperatures, 11 to 13 degrees. That is way above average for the time of year. A big contrast to the dull, grey, miserable, cold conditions we had last week. So how do things plan out as we head through the next 7